Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. Throne of Glass is the first in a fantasy series, but if you haven't already seen my review of The Assassin's Blade, that is a collection of prequel novellas. So I sort of read this as the second book in the series. Obviously you don't have to read the ebooks to understand anything that's going on. This does stand alone as a first book, but in my opinion I would read The Assassin's Blade first because it does mention the characters and events in this book, and I just think it gives you a better understanding, but it's up to you. The ebooks of The Assassin's Blade take you up to the start point of this story, where Selena Sardothian, who is a renowned assassin, has been captured and she's in the salt mines of Endovia, basically working as a slave, and that is a punishment because the evil king said, rather than killing you and giving you instant relief, I'd rather you slowly wasted away. So it's pretty horrible, and that's where she starts off in this book. But then a very handsome prince comes along, the actual son of the king that put her in the salt mines. He says, we've got an offer for you. You can escape these mines if you enter a tournament to become the king's champion and become his own personal assassin. And this is her only chance for freedom, so even though it means working against the awful king who put her there, she still thinks it's a lot better than wasting away here. So she takes up that offer, and that is sort of the start of this book and the premise of the whole storyline. The prince I just mentioned is Prince Dorian, and he actually becomes quite an important character in this story, as does the captain of the guards. I think you say his name Kale or Kale. I had to Google it, there's lots of weird names in this. Typical fantasy. And these three characters are the lead of this entire story, and I think they're all really well developed, and I gotta admit there is a tiny bit of a love triangle, but it is not important to this story at all, and I kind of hope it goes away, because the whole story is Lena's fight for survival, as she has to beat all the champions in all these different events. After agreeing to fight in the tournament to become the king's champion, she's sort of chilling in the castle and not a lot is happening, but a strange dark force starts slowly killing the champions as the weeks go on, and everyone doesn't really know what happens, but it's very brutal the way they die. They're kind of, their skin's ripped off, and yeah, there's a bit of magic in this book which I really like. I'm not going to say any more about the plot because you'll have to read it and find out. And I've got to admit, when I first read the blurb of this book, I sort of thought it was like the Hunger Games but with castles and stuff, but it really isn't, which I think is good because she's actually trying not to win. There's a challenge every week, and the captain of the guard basically says it's probably best if you hang back and don't show off your amazing abilities, and then at the end she can beat the very best and they'll be completely surprised by what she can do. So it's not like the Hunger Games, it's not one big fight to the death, it's lots of weekly challenges and training and sort of her life in the king's castle. For this reason it's not as action-packed as The Assassin's Blade, which is probably my only slight complaint with the book, but I really loved it. It really built up the world, and it kind of hints towards things that have happened, like magic being outlawed, and I just love this book. I really love fantasy, but normally they're 1,000-page books that are really hard to get into, whereas this one was really fun to read. I actually read, I think, 300 pages of it in one day. I just couldn't put it down, it was so exciting. I think Sarah J Maas is going to prove to be one of the best young adult writers, because just the character development from The Assassin's Blade to this book of Selena is just amazing. Because she's been through that awful experience of being a slave in the salt mines, it's really affected her as a person. And I think that shows Sarah J Maas's really amazing writing, and I think all the characters are really just well developed and well written, and oh, this book is just really good. Also, I'm not typically a fan of book series. I don't know, I like swapping genres when I read, so I don't normally read a series one after the other because I just get a bit bored, and then when I come to read the sequel I can't remember anything that's happened. So I really like this book, and kind of like Harry Potter, every book is separate, so this one had a storyline and that's resolved, and obviously there's ways it can carry on forward, but it's all done now. It hasn't left you with just stuff. It's not like one gigantic book that's been split into parts, which is how I kind of feel about the City of Bones and things like that. You know, it's all resolved, which I really like. I think what makes Selena a really likeable character is the fact that she underneath all the killing and the brutality is that she's just a girl. She likes dressing up nice and going to the balls at a run and reading books. And I think that was just a really good side of her that you get to see in this story. It makes her very relatable. As I said before, there is a tiny love triangle which isn't really necessary, but it isn't the focus of the book at all, which I think is really good. It's just kind of there. But if you did want to know, I'm Team Kale because strong burly soldier wins me over. I adore this series already, even after just reading the prequel novellas and this first book. I can't wait to pick up the second book and the third book once I've read some university books. I think I'd give this book 4.5 stars out of 5. It just missed the 5 for me because it wasn't as amazing as Assassin's Blade, and at times it could be a little bit slow, but overall this series is just so imaginative and original and just, oh, I definitely recommend this book. It's incredible. If you're interested in me reviewing the next couple of books after I've read them, then let me know. That's it for my review of Throne of Glass. I think you should definitely check it out if it sounds like your kind of book. If you have read it, then leave a comment down below and say any thoughts you had about it. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye!